This is VOA News. Reporting by remote, I'm David Byrd. The United Nations Human Rights Council voted on Friday to set up an independent investigation into abuses in the Ethiopian conflict after a senior UN official said there had been violations on all sides and mass arrests under a government crackdown. Nada al-Nashif is the UN Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights.
The risk of increasing hatred, violence, and discrimination is very high and could escalate into generalized violence. This could have major implications not only for millions of people in Ethiopia, but also across the region.
The vote establishes a three-member panel of experts for 1 year to collect evidence and identify those responsible for violations with a view to future prosecutions. Thousands of civilians have died and millions have fled in the conflict between the Ethiopian government and forces, including fighters loyal to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which dominated Ethiopia's ruling coalition for nearly 30 years. The World Health Organization has given emergency approval to a coronavirus vaccine made by U.S.-based Novavax, paving the way for its inclusion in the UN-backed program to get such vaccines to poorer countries around the world. The vaccine, known as Covavax-TM, becomes the 9th vaccine to be granted emergency use authorization from the UN Health Agency, marking a vote of confidence for the shot that could also be accepted by some countries who only accept travelers who have gotten shots or WHO-approved vaccines. A down day on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 1.48%, the S&P 500 lost 1.03%, the Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.07%. This is VOA News. U.S. health officials are endorsing test-to-stay policies that allow close contacts of students infected with the coronavirus to remain in classrooms if they test negative. We get more from AP's Sagar Magani.
Hundreds of schools have already adopted the policies known as Test to Stay.
Test to Stay is an encouraging public health practice to keep our children in school.
CDC Chief Rochelle Walensky says studies done in the Los Angeles and Chicago areas found virus infections did not go up when using the policies. The agency's official guidance has been that if a student tests positive, those who are in close contact should stay home for 10 days. Sagar Magani, Washington.
A federal judge has handed down the toughest sentence yet in connection with the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. AP's Ben Thomas reports.
Robert Palmer of Largo, Florida, has been sentenced to more than 5 years in prison for attacking police officers trying to keep the angry mob from reaching the Capitol building. The 54-year-old was on the front line during the chaos, throwing a wooden plank and then spraying a fire extinguisher, which he hurled at officers when it was spent. After briefly being pepper sprayed by police, he attacked again with a pole. Palmer wept as he told the judge he felt really ashamed when he recently saw a video of his actions. He said in a handwritten letter to the judge that he felt betrayed by Trump and his allies who had fed them conspiracy theories about the election. Ben Thomas, Washington.
The defense has rested its case in the trial of British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell after 2 days of presenting evidence on her behalf. Maxwell told the court that she would not testify in her own defense because the government has not proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The judge told the jury that announcement closed the evidence portion of the trial and they should return Monday when parties will do their closing arguments. Maxwell has pleaded not guilty to 8 counts of sex trafficking and other crimes. Her attorneys argue she is being scapegoated for former financier Jeffrey Epstein's behavior. Epstein killed himself in 2019 at the age of 66 in a Manhattan jail cell while awaiting trial on sex crimes charges. Pope Francis celebrated his 85th birthday on Friday, a milestone made even more remarkable given the coronavirus pandemic. His summertime intestinal surgery and the weight of history, the pontiff shows no signs of slowing down his campaign to make the post-COVID world a more environmentally sustainable, economically just, and fraternal place where the poor are given priority. You can find more at voanews.com. Reporting by remote, I'm David Byrd, VOA News.